So yes, well, as I say, I think what's happening in the curriculum at the moment is very much a jigsaw, and these lessons I hope to put the bits together. So they're in the form, as I said, as a Moodle website. So they begin. Each one is going to begin with a video, which I'll put together. I've put together the first 8 videos. They're up on YouTube at the moment. The first 3 deal with, well, they deal with ecosystems, food chains and food, but basically the stuff of ecological, ecology that's a feature of years 9 and 10. So food chains and food webs, energy biomass, apex predators, and cycles in nature, although I've focused here on the buildup of carbon dioxide, nitrogen and phosphorus, rather than saying that they're just cycles. To some extent, they're actually pathways building up a bit of pollution. The next lesson actually focuses on the steady state as such, because I was a bit surprised that quite a number of people haven't ever heard of a steady state, what it is, and I use stable ecosystems as a model to help explain it. And I think that that's a way in which the students can, in fact, follow what a steady state is. The next lesson I actually is a short, the economy. The image that you see there on the right, I build that up as I go through a series of slides, and this is basically what the videos are, a series of PowerPoint slides that build up with a commentary that I read out. The main point of this particular lesson is to give these students an elementary understanding of what we're talking about when we're talking about the economy, and the way in which the economy links with the environment. So you can see there from the diagram the involvement of energy, the production of waste, the use of natural resources. So making that link, I mean, in economics, they're generally referred to as externalities, but they really should be part of the environment or the economy. So they should be all seen as one, the one system is what I'm really trying to say. Then the next lesson is about limits to growth. So we look at the great acceleration graphs, a brief mention of the planetary boundaries and the overshoot day and how that's, I didn't say there the Club of Rome study. So those 3 areas trying to make the point that, growth can't go on infinitely. The next lesson has a closer look at the boundaries. So we look at examples so that students can actually see where these boundaries, first of all, they're somewhat rubbery, but secondly, they operate locally. There's the examples of the second last video focuses on what a steady state economy would look like. I'll just spend a little bit more time talking about that. I don't really have time to show you those videos, but they're up there on the internet. Some of them I've got to re-edit because points have been made about them that really require change, and that will mean that they'll have different addresses later. But when in this particular video, I cover a number of issues. I'll point out the requirement of renewable energy. We have 100% renewable energy. a possible decrease in the global population, national parks or world heritage areas as ensuring biodiversity, recycling, repairing and reusing. I talk about the right of repairing and consumerism, voluntary simplicity, work sharing, and so the number of hours worked possibly and the number of days worked. Talk about financial transparency in the context of social justice. And I really refer to social justice not only between, within a country, but between countries, that we've got to have a look at that globally. Our whole system has to keep in mind, if we're after a steady state economy, then we have to consider developing countries as well. Laws, I refer to laws, as I said, the right to repair, the extended producer responsibility laws, then local exchange systems. I also refer to the circular economy as a feature of manufacturing and investments in that come via superannuation and other means. And that brings me to debt and to the debts experienced by developing countries, and that is a real issue. That's a social justice issue. Farmers markets, regions where ecological boundaries have in fact been reached, how people in fact can continue. And that brings me then to lesson number 9, which I had the text written for this, but when I passed it to, first of all, my colleagues in CASI, the Centre for the Advancement of Steady State Economy, and I am on their committee. They pointed out a number of faults with it or defects, which I wanted to take into account. I also happened to meet up with a lady who is a psychologist, and she works in high schools, and she actually is a member of NENA, and it was just at some activist gathering. But I said to her, look, would you have a look at my lessons? Because one of the things that she is concerned about is eco-anxiety and eco-stress amongst students. And she had a look at the lesson that I had, which initially was overcoming difficulties. And she pointed out that it was a bit adversarial. She said that I had too much of a focus on the notion of being addicted to growth. So what I've ended up doing, and the other thing is, she said, try to make it something that the students can see themselves being involved with and being part of the solution. So as a result of that, I went back to my draft and tried to change things, and it just ended up such a mess that I said, ditch that. I am going to start all over again. So I've just put down, I've renamed it first of all. I've said I'm going to call it Making Progress. I might get better ideas from you good people. And I'm pointing out a whole lot of positives. We now know where we need to go. That action is being taken on climate change. People in the United Nations are conscious of it, so governments are to some extent conscious of it. Governments recognise the need for recycling. Students distinguish clearly, easily between renewable and non-renewable resources. anyway, there's a whole lot of things which are happening, which are good. How am I going for time? Okay. So there are a whole lot of good things which are happening, which will mention in the video, and then I'll list.
5.
Sorry, time is it?
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. Thanks. So there are ongoing challenges. I think I should include this in the video, but I really would appreciate people's thoughts on this because it's still in the stage of development. But discussing values, materialism, consumerism, and so on, various beliefs of people, the ensuring of the enforcement of appropriate laws, the fact that steady state economy doesn't mean that we don't make progress. I think I should point out some false hopes like the Sustainable Development Goals, to some extent the circular economy, avoiding the problem of avoiding recession. But I think I should also conclude possibly with creative ideas, this movement itself, NENA, the idea of donut economics, 360.org, somehow or another it's stuffed up, and refer to the awareness amongst younger generations. For example, the climate strike, that they're conscious of the need for change. So, so that's about it. So I'll go to stop share.